Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Episode of Hook 2.0. My name is Claire, and I'm gonna be your host today. Today, we are super honored to invite another esteemed guest to join our journey of education. Before we start that, if you are a new member here, allow me to introduce what are we and our mission to build another educational platform for the mass adoption. Hook 2.0 is consisting of an ecosystem where we are having the alumni as well as the unit tour all over the world. What we do is we will assess and find qualified partners to onboard with us and gamify their content on our platform to deliver it to over 10 million users around the world. In this journey, we are super proud to deliver another very meaningful and impactful partner, which is Kima Network, a cross-chain money transfer platform. And today we're gonna hear more about what this invention is, the impact of it to mass adoption, to Web3 community through the representative. So Eitan, it is time for you to share more about the project as well as yourself. Over to you.
Thank you. Just to verify, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay, great. So, hi everyone, and thanks for joining us today. A quick introduction about myself and quickly how we started the Kima journey. So, as for myself, I got trained to be a software engineer. Spent many years building deep technological projects, B2B projects, enterprise software, complex systems. And I spent a few years doing software engineering and then switched to other roles, product, marketing, sales, services, innovation management. So I got throughout my career a pretty broad perspective of the software business from many angles. In 2013, I read this PDF that I downloaded from one of these geeks forums, and that turned to be a document that really changed my professional life. That was the Nakamoto white paper. And the experience, I read it several times. The experience of reading it really blew my mind because it included a nexus of forces of innovation in finance, in technology, and even in the social impact and psychological aspects. And that nexus of forces convinced me that this is something that I never encountered before. This is really a moonshot progress for, if I had to use broad terms, even for humanity, because the things that we thought that are given now were challenged. The ability to hold digital assets without double spending them and hold them, in your own custody. That is a revolutionary aspect, and the ability to transact among parties without intermediaries. That was revolutionary. So since 2013, I started getting into the blockchain, crypto space. Very early on, I was part of an open source project that created the first MPC-based Bitcoin wallet. And afterwards, I was part of a project that did some arbitrage trading. And that all led me to what Kima is today, which is a new way to look at rails for money across ecosystems, and that is what Kima is all about. So, and obviously happy to dive deeper into that.
Thank you so much for a very detailed introduction. I can see that you've been through a lot of ups and downs in both Web 2 and Web 3, and it doesn't stop you from having more invention in this world. So feeling super, super hyped to see how the story of Kima is created, and it all rooted from a very experienced journey that you had before. So let's talk a little bit more about its unique selling point, which is the cross-chain platform. Then how important it is to you guys to build it on different chain, and what is the most difficult thing to pursue such a unique selling point for Kima?
Yes. When we started looking at this challenge, and by the way, the founding team, we were doing something else, and we came across this challenge for ourselves, for the product that we initially built. We saw quite a few challenges in this space of interoperability. One of them is the cross-chain challenge. How can you transfer assets between chains? Obviously, every blockchain is an island by definition. If that is not the case, then there's no way to settle securely transactions using the consensus. So every blockchain is an island, is siloed, and so is the liquidity within that blockchain. So when you look at TVLs on DeFi Llama, you see that that blockchain has this TVL and the other one has that TVL, and this is how you measure things. But when you need to transfer funds from one chain to the other, then obviously it's impossible. And that created several practices that when we looked at those practices from security, user experience, time, cost, all of these things, we saw 3 years ago that these solutions are subpar. They're not solutions that people will actually adopt and use. So we started designing a different architecture for a solution that would omit or remove the threats, the risks of the existing solutions. And eventually we were so excited by what we built and how unique it was, so we decided to go all in. So basically, if I had to put it in simple terms, the Kima architecture stands out compared to other solutions in several things. One, security. The fact that we do not use any smart contracts for transferring money, transferring value across ecosystems, across chains and other ecosystems. That is unique, and we filed a patent for this capability to be able to transfer funds without those risks. And bear in mind that smart contracts are responsible for around 90% of the hacks that take place in the DeFi space, especially bridges. So those are the code, the key management, how you manage the keys for smart contracts, who manages the keys. That creates quite a few trust assumptions about the team. Do you know the team? Do you know how often they change the code? Where are the keys? And can hackers actually get access and change the code for even a valid, a legit smart contract to do things that were not intended? So smart contracts definitely are a challenge. Without Kima, the only way to address these challenges, there is one way to do it, and that is to audit and check the smart contracts. But guess what? If you check all the major recent hacks, 100% of them took place on smart contracts that were already audited and tested. So obviously, auditing is not foolproof. It helps to minimize, but it is not foolproof. So Kima's approach is to make that attack surface completely irrelevant. So that's one thing we did. We just removed the need of smart contracts and we do things in another way. Another thing that really stands out is the fact that Kima is the only blockchain-based solution that can move money in any form. That means that we can move assets between chains, but that also means that we can connect to bank accounts and also move fiat or move fiat into digital assets and digital assets into fiat or fiat to fiat while settling the transaction using a blockchain. So we use the blockchain to remove the intermediaries that today are needed to touch and move fiat currencies and other asset classes. So that's the second thing that makes us unique. No other solution is truly asset agnostic. So I mentioned the security. Obviously from these two things, there are many new use cases that can be created that Kima can support and other solutions cannot. If we go deeper a little bit, we do not do any minting for bridging purposes. We do not do the lock and mint or burn and mint. These practices, we believe that they're not safe enough. So we do things in other ways without smart contracts, without minting new tokens, etc.
Gotcha. So a follow-up question to this is Kima's decentralized liquidity pools allow cross-chain asset to transfer. And can you explain how Kima ensure the seamless one-one asset swaps between different blockchains without relying on wrap tokens?
Yes. Yeah. So as you said, we're doing these swaps one-to-one. We're moving money between ecosystems, both bank accounts and chains. So how do we do it? So we use liquidity pools, one-sided liquidity pools, instead of those minting practices, and I will explain. When you mint, so I will step back. If we have two chains and we need to move 10 USDC from one chain to the other, obviously the USDC on Ethereum and USDC on Solana, they have the same underlying asset, which is the US dollar. They have the same name, but those are completely different things. USDC on Solana is a completely different implementation that has nothing to do with the implementation on Ethereum or Polygon or Arbitrum or Optimism and so on and so forth. So these are actually different assets. USDT on Tron is different from USDT on Ethereum. Again, same asset, underlying asset, the dollar, but the code, the implementation is completely isolated. So when a bridge, a non-Kima bridge, wants to move one USDT from Tron to Ethereum, so the typical solution is let's lock one USDT on Tron and then a smart contract. So we lock it on as in a smart contract on Tron at the source, and then a smart contract will mint a new representation, a synthetic representation of USDT on Ethereum that is connected, associated with the USDT, with a native USDT that is locked on Tron at the source. That's the practice. And it's what it's like. It's like sending sending a bill of $10 in a fax machine those of you who remember it, to someone else. So I put it in my fax machine, I send it over, and now there's a print coming out at the remote destination. This is a synthetic representation of the original money, and now I need to put my original money in a safe box until someone sends me back this print of money. Obviously, no one would accept a print of money that I took out of the printer, even if I tell people that, believe me, there's a bill in a safe somewhere stored that represents the same thing. Why? Because of the double spending problem. Because someone now can hack this system and now print these dollar bills as many as they want. So there's only one entity in the world that is allowed to do it. That's the Fed. Nobody else is allowed to print new money. So this practice is not acceptable in the real world. It is used in the crypto world. And we need to trust and believe that it's unhackable and trusted. Obviously, that was proven wrong. So what Kima does is a completely different solution for the same problem. What we do is we maintain accounts. You can think of them as vaults in every ecosystem that we support. So we have a USDT vault on Tron, and a USDC vault on Solana, and USDT on Solana, and USDT on Ethereum, and USDC on Polygon, and so on and so forth. Every chain that we support has an account with liquidity ready to be used with native stablecoins, not synthetic ones, ready to be used. So now that is a completely different situation, because it's like if I need, if I travel from Paris to New York, I can go to an ATM in New York and I can withdraw money from a bank. This is real. These are real dollars that I'm withdrawing, not printed ones. And that's what we did. We were keeping this vault of liquidity. Those are the pools that we have in every ecosystem that we support. So now sending money becomes a completely different practice. All I need to do is to deposit money in one safe. The blockchain, the Kima blockchain, verifies that money was indeed deposited. We look at the source chain and we see that money was deposited and it's irreversible. And only then the Kima blockchain validators, they vote and reach a consensus that money was deposited, and they collectively sign a withdrawal transaction without using smart contracts. They sign a withdrawal transaction on the target chain to withdraw money, the same amount of money from the local liquidity pool at the target chain. So it's like depositing in a bank in one end and then withdrawing money on the other end. And all of that happens without using smart contracts, because all the code runs in the validator nodes. So there's no need to trust a third party. There are no keys for the smart contracts. All of these risks are gone away because we're using that practice where Kima functions as the settlement layer without oracles, without relayers, without smart contracts, and the liquidity resides on those multiple ecosystems, including a bank account, because now it is possible to deposit 10 USDT on Ethereum and get 10 US dollars into a bank account. So that's how we do the on-ramp, off-ramp things. Exactly the same concept of using those liquidity pools, those accounts on the multiple ecosystems.
Thanks, Ethan. It is very interesting to see you explain the whole process of revolutionize the whole transaction from on-chain to off-chain. And the next question is, what would be Kima's long-term vision, and how does Kima plan to attract more liquidity providers and ecosystem partners to further strengthen its cross-chain solution?
Yes, that's a great question because as is implied from the question, Kima maintains an ecosystem of liquidity. So now we rely on liquidity coming from those liquidity providers. We are not a centralized entity. We are not an exchange. We are a blockchain. We're an ecosystem, and we rely on the community to provide liquidity. So why would the community provide liquidity? Now, the answer is, in order to understand the answer, we need to understand the liquidity management capability of Kima, and that is another innovation, which is a unique part of how Kima works. So those vaults, those accounts that we maintain in every system, are places where liquidity providers are invited to put their liquidity in those accounts. Why would they do that? Because if they do it, they will get a share in the liquidity, in the transaction fees that Kima takes from every transaction. So the business model of Kima is a very simple but very, very effective one, and those are transaction fees. So if you want to move $1,000 from one ecosystem to the other, we would typically take 5 basis points. That means that for $1,000, that is half a dollar, 50 cents from the $1,000. So we try to be very minimal in the fees that we collect. But in high volumes, obviously that adds up. Now we take 50% of the fees that we collect, and we give them out to liquidity providers. We on a pro rata basis. So if you want to have a part in the fees that Kima collects, you have an opportunity to be part of the 50% that we disperse to liquidity providers on a pro rata basis. So that is the basic economy of Kima. We encourage liquidity providers to provide liquidity, and we give them a significant part, 50% of the transaction fees. Now, it doesn't end there, because now if we're maintaining liquidity, we abstract the liquidity fragmentation, we're maintaining liquidity among those pools, there might be a situation where liquidity will not be balanced. If there's a lot of demand on chain A, people are moving money from chain B to chain A, that means that we'll have a lot of liquidity coming in on chain B because people are depositing, and they're withdrawing money from chain A. So there is a shortage. There's a demand higher than supply on chain A. Now, if that happens, what Kima does is we're applying a model similar to Uber. How does Uber work? If there's a lot of demand, if it's Christmas Eve in the center of Manhattan, now there's a lot of demand and very little supply. So in order to encourage cab drivers to come to this area, the fee that the consumers are paying get higher and higher. That's called a surge fee. And Kima applies a similar concept. If you're trying to take liquidity out of a pool, you pay the basic fee, but if the liquidity level goes down, you will pay a higher fee. That higher fee now is being given out to liquidity providers that, from a financial perspective, it's more efficient for them to provide liquidity in those pools where there's a high demand. So it's not just about, okay, I have some USDC on Ethereum, I will put them there. Maybe at a certain point in time, it's more economically efficient to deploy my liquidity in another chain, in Solana, in Tron, in Binance chain. So this is how Kima balances the liquidity based on supply and demand on a dynamic manner, and encourages liquidity providers to put their liquidity where it's mostly needed. And this is how this ecosystem maintains itself, basically. So we use those financial incentives to help balance liquidity pools without any manual intervention, just with these economic rules. I hope that makes sense.
Thanks, Eitan. I think that the audience today have learned a lot about the mechanism of Kima and how we can securely provide a better platform for both traditional finance and decentralized finance using the technology that you just provide. And as we reach the finale of our panel discussion today, I would like to give you a massive shout out and a heartfelt thanks to the incredible Eitan from Kima Network. And I hope that just like me, the audience today will have the chance to learn a lot about Kima as well as how it works. And maybe after this, you have enough knowledge and experience to try the platform yourself. If you are still unsure or having any concern, don't worry, we got you. Because from the 19th of September, Hook Protocol will have an alumni course about Kima Network. So you can use all of the knowledge that you learned today to apply into that course and complete it to win a chance to share 500 Hook token. So we will have to say goodbye for now, but before we close the space, Eitan, do you have any final share to our fantastic audience?
Just want to thank everyone for tuning in today. We are looking forward for the participation of the community. We look forward to hear from you on our social media channels, Telegram and Discord. And I'm really looking forward to, be in touch in the course or on our social media and hear from you and have you part of this journey.
Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you everyone for being a part of this amazing space. Until next time, goodbye everyone.
Goodbye.